popular demand, and here he is, the evil twin. He's right here with us tonight now.
Coach, I'm like head lice. You just can't get rid of me. I've been waiting 9 months to say something. In 1975,
That's right.
the real Rocky, Chuck Wepner, fought the real Apollo Creed, the champion Muhammad Ali. In the 9th round, Wepner knocked out Ali. As Ali sprawled out on the floor, Wepner, all joyful and gleeful, goes running back to his corner, to his manager, and he says, "Start the buses. Start the buses." He said, "We're millionaires." And you know what his manager told him? He said, "You need to look over your shoulder because the champion just got up and he ain't happy." After that, Muhammad Ali proceeded to bludgeon Wepner for the next 6 rounds into a bloody mess, knocking him out 26 seconds before the end of the match. That's what champions do. They get up and they bludgeon people. So to all those people back there on January the 9th, you know who you were, Alabama. You know who you were, the media. All those other people that don't like LSU. I have a message for you. You need to look over your shoulder. Because on September the 1st, me, 92,000 of my closest friends, the LSU Tiger Nation, our coaches, and most importantly, our team, the SEC champions, got up, and we ain't happy. And not only that, we're going to bludgeon people, not for 13 rounds like last year. It'll be 14 rounds this year. Because that's what champions do. That's what champions do. Coach, I have a question. We missed our favorite Australian, Brad Wing, last week. I know he had an injury. And I know that we had a new Australian punter who did pretty good under some trying circumstances. But my question to you is this. Since Wing will be coming back, do you expect Wing to assume all the duties of the punting, or do you expect him to share duties with our new punter?
Well, it will really depend on how Brad's health is, and make sure that he's able to handle the chores. If that's the case, I suspect that we'll let him punt if he's healthy.
Coach, I normally make a lot of jokes every week, but what I want to say is this. You know, when they were filming Steel Magnolias during the hot summertime, they asked Dolly Parton, they said, "Dolly, why are you always smiling and happy?" And she told him, she said, "Because all my life, all I wanted to be was rich and famous, and I got it." So, you know, when I was growing up following LSU football, they weren't very good at times. But you know what? They weren't very good, and I always said, if I could only have an elite football team. And I always figured, well, you know, that's going to be someone else's dream. That's going to be someone else's team that they're going to have. And I figured it would never happen to us. Well, I read Herb Vincent's LSU Vault book. And what I learned in that book was that LSU, surprisingly, has only had 3 golden ages of college football. And at LSU, 2 of those 3 lasted less than 5 years. Today, we're living in a 12-year and counting winning years. That's unprecedented in LSU football. And after you take care of business on Saturday night, that will be 40 straight home non-conference football games that LSU won. That is unprecedented in college football history. No one has ever done that. So when people tell me, they say, "Evil Twin, why are you always so happy and positive on the Les Miles show?" They whine about that. I say this, like most LSU fans, my whole life, all I wanted was to have an elite football team. And thanks to you and your football team, I got it. These are the good old days, Coach, and it ain't even close. Coach, I have a question.
Somehow I knew he would.
Ronald Martin, I wanted to know, do you expect him to have any playing time in passing situations at safety?
Yeah. Ronald Martin is coming on, developing, again, a young freshman, capable.
Okay, now here he is, and as always we say last but certainly not least, here is our man, the evil twin.
Coach, every other year, LSU travels to Auburn, Alabama. And every other year, we learn of new and innovative NCAA rules hidden deep in the books. Rules we've never heard of before. Rules that have never been enforced before or after. Who can forget the deflection exception to pass interference? Who can forget the prohibition against jumping over an offensive lineman during a PAT? So, Coach, as a public service announcement to the LSU fans and coaches making the trip, I've pulled out the Auburn Municipal Code of weird and unusual laws that are on the books that probably will be enforced this weekend.
I love that. Don't you love that?
Number one, do not ride a bicycle to Truma's Corner. There's nothing to see there, the trees are dead, and there's no reason to pay for the trees anymore since they don't win anymore. There is a municipal ordinance against riding bicycles in public places. Coach,
when you ride
you
privately,
like to eat grass on the sidelines. Do not spit the grass out. Section 9.08.010 of the Auburn Municipal Code prohibits spitting in public places.
Wow.
And my personal favorite, gentlemen, I hate to break the news to you, but it is unlawful for men to deflower pure and innocent women, regardless of their age or marital status, within the city limits of Auburn, Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why Auburn is not the honeymoon capital of the world. Everyone else just thought it was a dump. So, Coach, I have a message for Auburn, Alabama. On Saturday, your convenient application of NCAA rules will not save you from the butt whipping for which you are about to receive. Because if you cannot sit, you must acquit. Coach, I have a question.
wow. I promise I'll try to answer.
Coach Badal Alexander, he stepped in very well last Saturday. He filled in a very important need. So what I'd like to know is, number one, how well is he progressing? How well did he perform last week? And what can we expect from him in the future?
Well, I think his upside is really very, very good. He's a great, big, strong, capable freshman.
Here he is, last but never ever least, here's the evil twin.
Coach, I'm a firm believer in the institution of marriage. I'm a divorce lawyer. You can't divorce him unless you marry him first. Coach, from the World Wide Web, broadcasted universally. Darren, a Towson State fan from Bethesda, Maryland, writes, of course the real Tigers at Towson have a chance. Our team has higher IQs, GPAs, and ACTs than LSU's football teams, and they're ignorant fans. Coach, I don't know about you, but I just feel like I got attacked by a chihuahua. Darren, here's how the cow ate the cabbage. Number one, on Saturday night, we here at LSU, we LSU fans here know that we're going to have a football game and not a spelling bee. And number two, I want to tell you that we know how to take care of misbehaving chihuahuas down here in the South. You see, we don't get down to your level and yip, yip, yip. Oh, no, no, no. We take out the newspaper. But we don't take out the thin Wednesday newspaper. No, no, no. We take out the large Sunday newspaper. The one with the advertisements and the coupons in it. And when we get through with you, Darren, and your team, you're going to be saying Pleasestop. Please stop kicking our butts if you want it used in a sentence. The good news is it's 2-for-1 coupon night for butt paste. And we provide the coupons on Saturday night. Coach, I have a question.
Butt paste.
It's a Southern thing, Coach.
I know.
Coach, I have a question. I know I can't ask specific questions about specific recruits, but I would like to ask you this. I know you're coming up probably on the end of your recruiting trail as far as signing different players. What are the areas that you're looking to fulfill as far as recruiting positions left to be signed?
Well, first we have a great class, in my opinion, on the board. The key piece would be to, bring that board on the campus. That's really the first order of business.
Certainly not least, the evil twin.
Coach, Gainesville is an Indian word. It means home of women wearing tank tops and long gold chains. Coach, almost 1 year ago, almost to this very day, on October the 8th, 2011, LSU skull drug the Florida Gators in Tiger Stadium 41-11. It was such a dominating performance. LSU doubled the other team's yardage, and we dominated every statistical category. And you would think that with that great performance, you would think that the Florida Gator fans would be quiet and go away. Oh, no. The very next day, here come the excuses. Number one, missed opportunities changed the momentum of the game. Number two, the refs made bad calls. Number three, my personal favorite, Les was lucky. Coach, you've been lucky so long for 8 years and dominating these teams, I need to get the Powerball numbers from you. Florida fans, I have this to say. In our family, we have a little joke that we all laugh about. 10 years ago, my father went to the grocery store, and he bought a 50-cent cantaloupe. And he put it in a bag, and he put it by the side of his, in the passenger seat. And he's driving down the interstate, and he hit the brake. And the cantaloupe rolled out underneath his brake, and he couldn't stop the car. And he's driving down 65 miles an hour. And about 7 miles later, he finally gets it unlodged. Thankfully, nothing bad happened to him. But you know what, Coach? If something bad would have happened to him, we couldn't have had a public funeral. You know why? Because everyone would have come up to the casket and said, "What happened to your father?" And I'd have to say, "A cantaloupe got him." That's right. That'd be the reaction of everyone in the funeral home, too. So the moral of the story is this, Coach. When something embarrassing and humiliating happens to you, don't go out in public and try to explain it. It only gets more embarrassing. Florida fans, come Saturday night, I have a news flash for you. Lucky Les is going to put another purple and gold cantaloupe under your brake pedal. Coach, I have a question.
I knew you did. No question.
Coach, I know that we're going to be having some new, we've got some new changes in the non-conference schedule. And I know you obviously don't have any control over what happens in the conference schedule. What kind of input do you give, if any, about non-conference opponents. I know that there's a lot of negotiations going on. As coach, what do you do as far as giving input for non-conference games?
Well, most everything goes across my desk, and a lot of the things that have been in the works for years really just kind of come into light in the what would be our future schedules. Yeah, I definitely get input on those decisions. When I was hired in here, that was part of the prerequisite, if you will. You know, that we would be able to schedule jointly, and that the coach would have, you know, a say in that scheduling. And at
least here he is, the almost world famous Evil Twin.
Coach, there's a popular Cajun song, old song, called La Porte de Narrière. It's the song of a young guy that goes out on Saturday night after a dance with his woman, gets in all kinds of trouble, gets in a fight, gets thrown in prison, gets back in late in the morning. His family's in the front living room. So he has to go through La Porte de Narrière, the back door, to escape and try to sneak in. All this week I was surprised. Mr. Steve Spurrier, he's turned over a new leaf. He's kinder and gentler. He's quiet, meek, and mild, not saying anything negative, trying to sneak in to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, undetected. Steve Spurrier, I got a news flash for you. You got two problems here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The first problem you have is that we know what you did last summer. You see, back in the 1990s, when you were running up the score and smirking and yelling and running your mouth everywhere, we remember that. And here's the second problem you have, Steve Spurrier. There's no back door in Tiger Stadium. There's only a front door. It leads right to the living room where me and 92,000 of my closest friends will be there to greet you loudly and appropriately. And in the words of Martha and the Vandellas, there'll be nowhere to run, baby, nowhere to hide. Coach, I have a question.
I like that.
Last week I asked you about out-of-conference games. And what I'd like to ask you is a follow-up this week. I'd like to know, if you could choose, what would be some of the teams that you would like to play as an out-of-conference opponent?
Well, I think it kind of depends on the year. I'd like to have one kind of a name opponent, if you will, like we played West Virginia and Oregon. And then I'd like to have, some games that, necessarily, good quality teams, but not necessarily the top tier or ranked team, just a good solid opponent as we get ready for, in my opinion, the West Division, which is the most talented group of teams, maybe in college football, and then certainly the conference championship. So I think there's a need to play a quality opponent for us, to test our skills and to test our abilities and to be ready early. I don't think there's any need to continue to play highly ranked opponents week after week, considering that when we get into the conference, we run into those teams virtually every weekend. So that'd be my philosophy.
All right, thank you very much, and we invite you to last but never least, here he is, the almost world famous Evil Twins.
Mr. Jim.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jim Ryan from Oak Grove and Dane from Rayville. Big fans of yours. Want to send out a big congratulations for your 30 years of hard work at LSU.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
Coach, 200 years ago on this very day, a border war was started between the states of Texas and Louisiana that continues to this very day. 35 Texas Aggies began throwing sticks of dynamite across the Sabine River. Louisianians picked up the dynamite, lit it, and threw them back. That's been the story of this rivalry, Coach. I feel like we're fighting Wile E. Coyote on a Looney Tunes cartoon. You know, Coach, you're from Michigan, and I know you're not familiar with Texas A&M. But I want to remind you that you will not be in Waco. You will be in Wacko. You know, most people have just one or two traditions, not A&M, not Texas. No, they have 1,001 wacko traditions. These include such favorites as putting a scoreboard in the mascot cemetery, cadets that don't really belong to any branch of the armed military that are armed with swords to defend our nation. And who can forget the all-male cheerleaders, Coach? They got more wacko traditions than Liz Taylor had husbands. But we're going to start a new tradition on Saturday. That's going to be beating their wacko behinds up and down the field each and every year. In the words of Roadrunner, beep, beep. Coach, I have a question. We had two freshmen that I have to give my hat off to that did an outstanding job. Turner and LaVar Alexander did an outstanding job in coming forward, taking over a difficult situation. It was, you know, obviously there was injuries, and they had to step forward. And I know that's difficult for freshmen. What did y'all do in addition to what you probably normally do to help prepare a young freshman to come in and have to take control and help settle down the situation at offensive line?
Well, we spent some extra time, worked on some, you know, technique, but both guys really have a real calmness about them, and they learn extremely well.
Coach, this week, in spite of the win, I am not the kinder, gentler, evil twin. Our former employee, Nicky Pooh Saban, is all upset. Oh, he's having his little hissy fit. He's going on the radio and he's complaining about those hurry-up, high-powered offenses that are running up all kinds of scores on people. And he's all worried about the safety of college football players. Of course, the fact that his defense can't stop those offenses isn't part of the equation. And so he's demanding that the SEC and NCAA change the rules. So, you know, it's funny how in 2011, our coach, Les Miles, played two of the teams that had the highest powered offenses in the country on the road, West Virginia and Oregon. And I didn't see Les Miles whining and crying and demanding rule changes. He just went out and kicked their butt. So Nicky Pooh Saban, this is what I would recommend as far as rule changes, since you're already going to be talking to your big buddy Mike Slive. First rule that I would like to enact is I would like to have a rule against Alabama from holding. Because obviously they don't have a rule because they haven't been called for holding in the last 4 years. I would also like to ask Nicky Pooh, while he's at it, to ask them to change the rule and demand that coaches not lie. That'll shut Nick up for about 2 or 3 years. And lastly, Nick, you need to go and talk to the SEC commissioner and pass a rule against LSU kicking your butt. Because that's the only thing that's going to save you in 2 weeks. Well, Coach, I have a question.
Well, certainly that was a very impartial commentary.
The truth's the truth, Coach. I have a question. This week, obviously, your schedule has changed. Normally, you're in the normal course of playing teams once a week. How does your preparation change when you have an open week And what's your schedule like this week, and how does it differ from normal game day weeks?
Well, we'll have 3 practices. We'll institute different pieces of game plan in those practices. The emphasis is a Monday off academics, Friday morning workout, a afternoon and evening opportunity at academics. Obviously, nothing on Saturday. Get the body fresh, rehabilitated, get legs back, heal those guys that need healing, weight, strength, condition the team generally, and come fresh into next week.
Here he is. He's never last and certainly not least. It's the nearly world famous Evil Twin.
Coach, tonight is Halloween, and so I want to give some tips to all the LSU fans and to you to survive the evening, and to our former employee as well. Number 1, don't walk backwards tonight. Bad things happen to people in horror movies that walk backwards. Number 2, never say, "I'll be right back," because in horror movies, you won't be back. Number 3, if you have a hot cheerleader girlfriend, dump her and run. Sorry, LSU cheerleaders. Dump them and run, because only bad things happen to people men that have gorgeous cheerleader girlfriends on horror movies. And lastly but not least, if someone is chasing you, whatever you do, do not get in your car. I don't care if you put a battery in it, it'll never start. But I have a tip for you too, Mr. Nick Saban. You see, I want to give you the cardinal rule of horror movies. And that's this, that you should never assume that you defeated the monster at the very end of the movie. Because, you should never be relieved into thinking that your problems are over and nothing bad's going to happen. It's over. Your problems are solved. Because you know what you find out in movies? You find out that you discover that you're not safe and that it's not over. And so here's a news flash for you, Mr. Saban. On Saturday night, we're not rolling credits because the movie's not over. You see, it's not the end of the story. On Saturday night at 7 p.m. in Tiger Stadium, me and 91,000 of my purple and gold Jason Voorheeses are going to show up. And you thought you put an end to us last January. But we're not done with you yet. Your horror story has just begun, and the sequel has just begun. In the words of Freddy Krueger, welcome to hell. Coach, I have a question.
I'm glad that I don't have to prepare that. I'm glad that that's on your plate.
Perfect for Halloween.
Coach, I have a question. With regard, how's our linebacker Luke Muncy doing? I know he had some health problems earlier in the year. We want to know how he's progressing, and can we expect to see him play this Saturday?
He practiced well today. We would expect that he would see some time in this game without question.
All right, thank you very much to everybody. We invite you to come back and be with us next Wednesday night, and you can step up to the mic for the Capital. He's last, but he is never least. Here is the Evil Twin.
Coach, one quote that I always remember is, pain is always temporary. Pain is always temporary unless you quit. If you quit, pain becomes permanent. A lot of people around this country gave LSU a chance. And, they even brushed us aside and figured they were going to roll us, and they even proceeded on to debating how many NFL teams can Alabama beat. So all I'm going to say is this. I want to know how the Jacksonville Jaguars broke into our locker room, stole our jerseys, and played Alabama on the field. Because I didn't think a college team could play like that against Alabama. You know, Coach, I'm very proud of the LSU fans. Because, you know, LSU fans did not allow the national media, anyone else, all these other fans in the country to define who we are. We did not quit. Our team did not quit. Our quarterback did not quit. And at halftime, when things weren't going very well, you know what? Our team, our quarterback, our coaches, and our fans, we didn't quit. So to Mississippi State, moo you, I got this to tell you. You got a problem on Saturday. You know why? Because number one, you haven't defeated us since 1999, and that was when Bill Clinton was in the White House. And you lucky in 1999 you had your cheating officials that allowed your running back to roll into the end zone on fourth down, on a second down, on a fourth down and 2. You allowed your running back to roll into the end zone. That's the only reason why you won that. Otherwise, you would not have defeated us since 1991. That's when George Bush Sr., that senior, not junior, was in the White House. And all I'm going to say is this, Coach. On Saturday, Mississippi State, all the college football world, you're going to find out that LSU fans, our team, and our quarterback, we are not quitting this Saturday either. Coach, I have a question. We've been missing one of my favorite offensive linemen, Josh Williford. You know, he's a great offensive lineman. He's a real good quality guy. And we want to know, I know he's not been playing lately. I know there's some injuries. What can we expect as far as health? Has it improved any? Can we expect to see him anytime soon?
We can expect that his health is improved. We can expect that we're bringing him to the field.
Definitely not least, the almost world-famous Evil Twin.
Coach, Danny, an Ole Miss fan from Flowood, Mississippi, writes, the Rebels are new and improved. Those corn dogs at LSU won't know what hit them. Hotty toddy. Obviously, Danny wrote this before the Vanderbilt game. Danny, this is how the cow ate the cabbage. Number one, the LSU insult is so old it's got dinosaur poop on it. What's wrong? You didn't get the name of the Mack truck that ran over you since 1962? And secondly, with regard to the other insult about corn dogs, this is one of the great mysteries since the Great Pyramids. Because, you know, no one can tell us why it's insulting or why it's funny. Not even the people that say it. You ask them, and they can't even tell you why it's funny or insulting. Big top secret. But you know, Coach, since President Kennedy was president, Ole Miss has not won an SEC championship in anything except men's tennis. Men's tennis. Coach, Ole Miss is like the slee stack in the land of the lost. You know, the slee stack, there were these tall, amphibious, reptile-looking things that were tall and slow. And nobody could figure out why you were scared of them. You know why? Because they would chase around people. They couldn't catch you. And when they did finally catch you, they didn't do nothing with you. Kind of like the Ole Miss football team. They chase you around and they can't catch you. And when they do catch you, they don't do nothing with you. So, Darren, I have this to say to you. Howdy toddy, gosh almighty, when Ole Miss gonna beat somebody? Coach, I have a question.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Zach Mettenberger, for the last couple of weeks, has been having an outstanding performance at quarterback passing the ball. What factors do you attribute to his success, his recent success, and his outstanding performance?
Really, it's team success on the offensive side. First, him. I think he's insistent on being a very quality quarterback. I don't think good enough is good is good enough. I think he needs to be excellent. I think it's a personal feeling that I get when I see him practice. And do you want that one again? Yes, I want it again. He wants to practice that throw, wants to practice that read.
Last but never least, the nearly world-famous Evil Twin.
Coach, a Clemson fan by the name of Savage Tiger produced some interesting YouTube videos that went viral. In the videos, he first of all says they're going to show LSU who the real Tigers are. Next, he goes forward and says that the LSU football team is garbage, that our football stadium in Baton Rouge is garbage, and don't worry, Coach, he also says the LSU fan base is garbage.
He won't make any friends here tonight. I'm just going to let you know. If he was going to come in here to make friends, he's got a bad start.
So, Coach, on behalf of all the garbage, I would like to address Mr. Savage. Savage, I would like to remind you who we are and where you are right now. First of all, we're the LSU Tigers. And number two, we're in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Georgia Dome, where the LSU Tigers are 10-1. And so, rather than being a tiger, you're more like the wildebeest in the first 5 minutes of Wild Kingdom. See, we got hides out on our walls here in Atlanta, Georgia. We've got hides of the University of Tennessee, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Miami, and North Carolina. And to remind you, Savage Tiger, we got a hide of you from 1986 of Clemson, too. So, Coach, all I'm going to say is this. To Mr. Savage, to Coach Sweeney, and to Clemson, on Monday night, we're going to be charging you rent because we own this place. Coach, I have a question.
I knew you did.
We have a lot of linebackers that are coming back. Taj Jones. We have Quan Alexander that's all coming back. How do you figure that they play into our scheme tomorrow night?
I think both guys play what is our field backer and play a very significant role in special teams. And the great news is both of those guys would certainly have been used, throughout the year. Quan broke his ankle